just want to make sure. Check, check.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. There we go. Well, let's start by thanking the kitchen staff for the wonderful treats today. I think everybody likes Monster cookies, right? Yeah. Well, I've got a few things we want to talk about and make sure that everybody's on the same page. And first of all, our enrollment this fall semester ended up at 1,982, which is down a little bit from last year, but it's right in where we've been for the last 10 years. Our enrollment has varied between 1,800 and 2,072 for the last 10 years. And it's been just a little bit up and a little bit down on the part-time side of things over that period of the last 10 years. So it's having that stable enrollment has done really nice things for our budget. We haven't had to have the huge up and down budget swings based on enrollment. Our friends in the legislature had some things to say about that a couple of years ago, but anyhow, our enrollment has helped us keep it fairly stable, and that's what's been allowing us to do some of the things we've done with deferred maintenance and some of the things around campus by being able to have a stable budget and plan for those things. So we do have some budget implications from being down. We're down about 30 FTE, which is going to be somewhere between $150,000 and $250,000 in tuition and fees over the course of the budget year. So we knew it was going to be a tight budget year this year because of the where we were at in terms of the completed credit hour formula that we get funded on. And we're just going to have to watch budgets a little closely and not, if we don't need it, don't buy it. And so we're going to have to keep an eye on that, and it's compared to what we've been through in the past, we're going to be fine. So we're just going to, again, watch our spending, and we'll be fine with that. And hopefully we can get some bounce back in the spring semester and for the second year of the biennium next fall. So, and we'd like to make sure that we're keeping our credit hours completed up, because that helps us on the appropriated side of things from the legislature. So. And speaking of that, last week the Higher Ed Interim Committee met on campus, the committee that's actually reviewing the funding formula. And we had probably some of the most powerful senators and representatives in the legislature on campus, and they were reviewing the funding formula, and we're funded on completed credit hours. So if a student takes a class and drops it, or takes a class and fails it, we get nothing. So we're only funded on completed credit hours, and they're not all funded equally. The lab sciences, the nursing courses, the other program courses where we have to have lower numbers for safety, lower student to faculty ratios for safety. Those courses cost more to deliver. We get a multiplier factor on those credits. So they're reviewing all of those, the expenses that go into them. They're reviewing the formula in general, and it didn't sound like they were looking at there's a group of administrative affairs VPs that Mr. Kenner is on to try to guide them through this, and the staff of both the Legislative Council and the university system thanked me for making sure we had Corey there, because Corey has been through this many times and was in on the first round in the development of the formula, so he understands it. And some of the new VPs for administrative affairs that are working on this don't have a clue. You know, they weren't involved with it, so Corey has been able to be sort of a stabilizing force there to let them know what the historical reason was, why we're doing things the way we're doing them, and that's helped out greatly. So we're hoping that they don't make significant changes, because, well, in particular for this institution, this is the fairest we've ever had the budget process in terms of the appropriations. You know, in the past it was basically done on a historical basis, and we always got less per student than just about any other campus. Yeah, and so now we're getting the same as our colleagues on a per credit hour basis for completed credit hours, and we were always over producers. We always produced more credit hours than the other institutions our size did, and we didn't get, and that came out of our hide, and everybody worked harder, and we got more done and did great things for students, but we didn't see any financial reward on the backside. So we're hoping that they don't do a whole lot to the funding formula. There's a couple little tweaks that would help us, and a couple that they're talking about that wouldn't be so great for us. But the message I delivered to the legislators is that, overall, this is a really good formula, a good way to do it. It's not perfect. There are things that that we feel are wrong and would be better for us, but overall, it's much better than it was before. So we're excited. We're hopeful that they won't do a lot of tweaking on it, but who knows? And Corey, again, has been working hard on that committee to help guide them down the pathway to collaboration, because there's every tweak you make is good for somebody and bad for somebody else. So you've got to balance that out. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with, but they, from what I saw at that meeting with the recommendations of the working group, they weren't looking at significant changes. So hopefully it'll continue down that path. We're also in the last year of our current strategic plan, our 5-year plan. And so we started off at the staff retreat this summer doing some brainstorming and some things looking at where we should go with our next plan, and we had a group get together yesterday afternoon and try to look at the big picture on what are some big things we should be looking at, and then we'll work backwards from that. We start with the big things and then work back in steps how we're going to get there. And they came up with some good stuff based on the input that we had gotten at the staff retreat, and so we'll keep you posted. We're going to put a draft together of what we think some of those big objectives should be, and we'll run that past the departments and the groups to take a look at it and get some feedback. And by the end of the spring semester, we'd like to have our plan in place for where we want Lake Region State College to be in 2025. And then we'll work backwards from that on how we're going to get there 1 year at a time. And so I was really pleased yesterday. I thought everybody put their thinking hats on and we're looking at big picture issues and looking at how we can take the institution the next step forward. So I think Lloyd stated that, you know, when in talking to his colleagues, they're jealous of where we're at in terms of the consistency of our staffing, and we've got a lot of people that have been in place for a long time, and we've got processes in place, and we work together. We're not fighting with each other. So, and we're a team and a family at the end of the day. So we're excited about that, and I'm sure we'll get a great plan in place for the next 5 years. At the same time, the university system and the State Board of Higher Education are working on what their next strategic plan is going to be, and they're actually going to be on campus, and we've set up a meeting where they'll be meeting with the officers from Faculty Senate and Staff Senate and Student Senate to get some input from the folks on campus for the system strategic plan. And then, of course, we'll have to make sure that ours fits in with theirs, but it's usually not too hard to do that. But fortunately or unfortunately, we need ours done before they'll have theirs done. So there'll be a little bit of alignment to do on the backside, but it normally isn't too hard because they're looking at some bigger, broader picture things that fit right in with our mission. So we shouldn't have an issue with that. So if you think of some things that you'd like to see in the system strategic plan, faculty, talk to your faculty senate president and vice president or whoever's going to be at that meeting. Same thing on the staff side, and then the students as well are looking at it. And we did give them some of the documents that the system is working off of, their current plan and some of the drafts of some of the stuff that they're looking to update. So, and that meeting will be on December 4th. Phil Wisecup and Ryan Jockers and Chris from their system office will be here to lead us through that. So, and if you really want to go, we can probably wrangle another chair at the table. If all you got to do is ask, okay? So we'll get that. Last month we had another very, very successful key event. We raised over $70,000 that night, and we couldn't have done it without everybody in this room helping some way, shape, or form. For those of you that helped here on campus or helped at the event or attended the event and bought stuff or donated things, just thank you. It's important that the community sees us there and participating in that, and then they feel like, you know, we care too, and we're there and they're there, and it's an incredible show of community support. So we're thankful that we had a great event like that, and it was very successful. A couple other things that we've been very successful in, and just looking at the quick data that Brandy puts out of the Institutional Research Office. You guys had we increased our graduation rate from 41% to 49% over the previous year, and our retention increased from 61 to 64%. Now that's incredible. Give yourselves a hand. So the groups that are working on retention and you know, we've got the retention committee and they kind of guide us, but each and every one of you that's working hard to make sure our students are successful, and every last one of them matters. And by taking that approach and making sure that we're doing everything we can so they've got the opportunity to be successful, that's how we get them there. And so thank you for the work you're doing there, and it's working. And if we can maintain this and maybe even nudge a couple of those up a little bit more, we're never going to get 100%. Life gets in the way for students just the way as it does for the rest of us. So, but I think we're close to where we need to be, but I'd still like to see us get above that 50% on the graduation rate. So we've got some things we can do there yet, again, if we just keep working with each and every student like you're doing, I think we'll get there. We're seeing the results continually creeping up, so thank you for all the work you do with that. A couple of other updates. We're still working hard to raise money for the Precision Ag building that we got authorized by the legislature, and I don't think we could have had a worse year in the last 20 years to be going to the ag community for money. But they're still ponying up. You know, we're getting there. We're at about $350,000 in hand with, you know, more asks out there and some good feedback that we're going to be continuing to get some. So we've still got some time. We're going to keep plugging away at it. And if you know of somebody that you think we should be contacting, let us know, and we'll make sure that we've got them on our list, and we'll keep after it. But Preston and Yolanda and the foundation staff are working their butts off, making these visits and following up and making the asks and going out and getting their picture taken with the check. And, you know, it's that whole process. It's not done once they say yes. You got to follow it through afterwards. So we did get them started moving some dirt back here and getting dug for the footing so we don't have to wait for the ground to thaw to do that in the spring, so that they can get right on it and get going. So that our plan is still to be in there next fall. And so it's an aggressive schedule, but we're confident that if we get the resources rounded up and turn them loose, they're going to make it. So we're excited about that. And we've got a couple of things I wanted to try to show you. That we've gotten some things that hopefully will help us in marketing a little bit. We'll play you a video and sort of a quick virtual tour of what's planned for the center. Now we'll see if I can work the technology.
A lot of my close friends had been here and had told me about how much they had learned, and I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to learn new things to bring back to our own farm.
This program is definitely technology based. I mean, that's the future, is technology, electronics, monitoring everything. You know, even on my own farm, we have all the monitors and prescriptions, and if you're not technology wise and you want to keep on growing, it's going to be hard for you.
Knowing what's out there and then knowing what we can improve on, you know, and help, as if I worked for a manufacturer, what new technology we think that would really benefit farmers.
A big thing that I feel being a fourth generation farmer is pride, you know, taking the same ground that my great-grandfather farmed and growing it.
Family farms back then, they weren't necessarily that big, but now we're few and few farmers, and the average age of the farmer being 60-some years old. We're trying to cover acres here, and we're trying to be more efficient with every acre and doing it better than what we did in the past.
When this program was started 6 years ago, the college leased the facility. We're 1 mile north of the main campus, and so it's made a great home for these 6 years. But there's some limitations to our current facility. The size of, say, the shop. We're restricted in certain items that we can bring in here. When you're talking agriculture and you're talking about equipment, you have to be able to bring this equipment inside.
Out here, we're a little tight on space for all the projects and the little side stuff that we do.
In the winter, you know, we like to be able to be inside and tear stuff apart, you know, instead of freezing your hands outside.
virtual tour of the prospective facility, and it's pretty close to what it's actually going to look like, so we're excited about that. And I wish we'd have had this in July when we started out there trying to round up dollars. I think it would have helped us make our case, but we've got it now and we'll be able to use it moving forward. So we had some help from Erin and her team on the first video, and then Icon Architects put sort of the virtual walkthrough in it, and we had to make sure they had the three primary colors of equipment in there, and so so everybody gets some billing there, because they're all good. They've all helped us. So excited about that. A couple of last things I've got on my list is Student Services as part of their recruiting is planning on doing 6 of the Royal Treatment events, and I don't know if you were familiar with those last year, but they worked with the area high schools and set up at one of their basketball games and provided information and door prizes and a chance for students to win a scholarship, and sort of way to give back to those schools that have provided us students for many years, you know, both athletes and other students. And so I know Randy Olson was at one of them I was at, and said, you know, every faculty should go do at least one of these. So if you'd like to do that, get in touch with Steve and his team down there, and they've got the dates set already, so you can see what works with your calendar and coordinate with Steve and Nicole to get to one of those Royal Treatment events. And I made it to 2 or 3 of them, and they're a great event, and it's great to get to visit with the people in those communities that have been providing us students. And we had alumni show up at every one and talk about what great experiences they had here when they were at the college. So it's nice to see them down the road when they're back in their home communities still talking about what a great job their programs did for them here at the college. So if you're at all interested in that, again, get a hold of Steve or Nicole, and they'll get you lined up to attend one of the Royal Treatment events. And then Erin, I think, is going to owe us a happy dance, because I think she said she'd do something like that if I agreed that all week next week would be Denim Day.
I will just put it on YouTube to see if I can do it right.
So what kind of a happy dance are you going to do?
You said the Caddyshack Gopher dance, so.
Okay. All right. Yes. And be on the YouTube channel if you guys need to replay that. Andy Wakeford, are you out there somewhere? Andy wanted just a minute or two to update us.
Unlike Erin, I'm not going to dance.
Oh, come on, Andy.
No, not in my thing. So I'd just like to say thanks to the folks that are watching us. There's a lot of distance and off-campus folks, so thanks for tuning in. And I did tell Doug I would only take a minute. I'm here to talk about the Lake Region Community Fund, and I just want to thank those of you that have contributed. I'm trying to find a couple of you in the audience that have contributed from your payroll or a check or cash or something like that. You received one of these in the your mailbox or on your desk or something like that way back. So the Lake Region Community Fund is still in the midst of its Red Packet campaign, that's what we call it. So we're in the process of raising $65,000. That's what we set as our goal every year. And the past couple of years, the Community Fund, the Lake Region State College employees have contributed over $1,000. Last year, we set the goal, I set it for you, of $2,500, and we eclipsed that by a couple bucks. So $2,500 is our goal this year. I'm not going to try to auction this off, but I'll do the best that I can. We're at $2,360. Are you with me? Do the math. I need $50 from somebody and $25 from somebody else and 10 from somebody, and we got to get over $2,500. That's the goal. That's all. See me afterwards. Find a brochure at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Carla, you had something with, where'd you go? Okay, at the end here, do you want to announce who's getting them?
What was this about James Day?
It's Denim Day all week next week.
been here longer than others. We also have some that have come and gone that are still getting their coats, but they put in their year just the same as everybody else. So, yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Thank you, Carla. Anybody have any questions that they'd like me to try to answer? I just got the high sign. I'm supposed to remind everybody that the new branches is here, and Erin was gonna do the Steve Martin thing and run down the hall, and no, she's not gonna do that? Well, okay, well, the new branches magazine is here. If you didn't get one, they've got some boxes. You can pick one up, and another fabulous publication. It looks just wonderful again, so congrats to Erin and Carla and the crew that put it together. They've really ratcheted that publication up a couple notches this year, and let's give them a round of applause. So with that, thank you. Have a great day. Everybody have a happy and safe Thanksgiving with your families next week if you can.
Lady Royals play tonight, 6 o'clock, Sports Center.
All right.
Please be there.
Wednesday next week is the HLC workday, yes. All right. Thank you.